So a few months ago, we talked about how Square Enix was removed from Sweet Baby Inc.'s list of client companies, presumably because Square Enix decided to cut ties with the consultation firm. Over on Reddit, on a post about this topic, a top response had said, Square Enix doesn't need SBI. They have their own in-house ethics department in charge of similar duties already. Furthermore, we can see the credits for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, in which they seem to credit another consultation firm, that being Hit Detection. So it's not entirely clear what exactly the situation is with Square Enix and Sweet Baby Inc. and or why they seemingly cut ties with them as previously mentioned, and if they're still working with Hit Detection instead, or simply utilizing their own in-house ethics department. Interestingly enough, if we take a look at Square Enix website, they have this section titled Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. They say, the Square Enix Group believes in the importance of fostering diverse and inclusive workplaces across the many rich facets of the human experience, including nationality, race, religion, thought, and creed, age, gender, sexual orientation, and physical condition. All our locations work to increase representation and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion across such areas as recruiting, training, team building, and employee activities. We are encouraged by the progress we've seen through the years in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and contribute to prioritize our work in this area. Maybe they should try prioritizing their work on their video games. We'll take a look at how all of this seems to be massively backfiring for Square Enix. However, first we've got a message from an amazing sponsor, the brand new and unique real-time tactics RPG, Ash Echoes Global. With a grid-based tower defense approach and a vast array of strategic elements, including a variety of ways to build your teams and handle combat, gameplay will be exciting for both casual and hardcore players. There's also an auto function that lets you intervene whenever you want, or stay in control the entire time. It's got really cool art design and music, and I found this story to be very immersive because of the neo-noir elements and the great variety of compelling male and female characters. You'll be playing as the chief director of Seed, a corporation that's had a major rise to prominence after a catastrophic world event called the Skyrift Incident. Some who survive the fallout of that incident become Echomancers, in which you'll be employing many for missions and research. And with the roguelike mode Echoing Nexus, you'll be able to improve your Echomancers with great effect. There's also a highly optimized PC version with a seamless connection between mobile and PC for your account. And this is the perfect time to play because Ash Echoes Global just released. Download with the link in the description or pinned comment and get 200 free pulls, which will give you an extraordinary start. Thanks again, Ash Echoes Global. I look forward to playing more, and I hope you all enjoy it too. So over on Nikkei, on November 11th, they reported that Square Enix stock price has plummeted, and that for the period of July through September, their operating profits have fallen 27%, leading to the aforementioned stock price plummeting, which is specifically 12.37% as of the time that they wrote that article. Going on to say that the massive sell-off of their stock was because of the recent deterioration in Square Enix's business performance. And there does seem to be a trend with certain major gaming companies over in Japan, where some of them, not all of them, but some of them, have been really going overboard with all this DEI stuff and their attempts to capture this quote-unquote modern audience thing, and it doesn't seem to really go well for any of them. Back in July, that Park Place had reported numerous gamers announced boycott of Square Enix's Dragon Quest III HD2 remake following removal of male and female character options. Going on to say, it was reported at the beginning of this month that developer Square Enix was removing the option for players to choose between male and female characters, and were instead labeling the character options as A and B. This was reported by Ryo Kuchiya, who noted that the game has, quote, no distinction between male and female heroes, unquote, also noting that the characters are labeled A and B, with the A version appearing like a male hero, while the B version is a female hero. Ryo Kuchiya even notes that A version is voiced by a male character, Hiyama Nobuyuki, while the B version is voiced by Minaguchi Yuko. On top of the main character having their sex removed from the character select, Ryo Kuchiya also reported that, quote, jobs will no longer be distinguished by gender in name, unquote. And it's especially interesting that some of these major Japanese corporations are attempting to mimic what other major corporations have been doing here in the West, although they're a bit late to the party. Many of these Western companies having taken massive losses to their DI-infected games. But hey, to some of these Japanese corporations, they look at that and think it's a great idea. Or maybe there's a little bit more ESG influence behind the scenes. As previously mentioned, this can easily be explained through attempts at raising their ESG scores internally, which would also follow along with news earlier this year where Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida publicly called for BlackRock and other funds to invest in Japan's future. Financial Times had reported on this, saying Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has appealed to BlackRock founder Larry Fink and others controlling $18 trillion of assets to invest in Japan's future, wrapping up a charm offensive to lure capital into the country. However, interestingly enough, on October 1st, Fumio Kishida was replaced, his successor being Shigeru Ishiba. Back in June, Square Enix had a different controversy going on, which we've talked about before. As Park Place reports, Square Enix shareholder questions company about Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement. The question specifically was, "I'm personally happy about the shift from quantity to quality. I hope good titles will come out in the future. I'm concerned about the Canadian consulting company quote-unquote Sweet Baby. Square Enix is listed as a client, but is there actually a transaction there? What kind of transaction is it? Will they continue to do so in the future?" Square Enix president Takashi Kiryu had responded saying, "I would like to refrain from making specific comments about individual clients. As we shift from quantity to quality, providing content that is enjoyable and safe for our customers is also part of what makes a product fun. We will do our best as creators." So basically a non-answer. It's really funny looking back on that, now knowing that Square Enix was removed from Sweet Baby Inc.'s client list. Although, once again, it's still unclear if they really don't work together at all anymore, or if Square Enix just asked to be removed from there publicly. As we also know, some months after that all occurred, Sweet Baby Inc. even removed the entire clients list from their website overall. And even back in May of 2024, Square Enix was already performing financial damage control, issuing an official statement that was summarized by Takashi Mochizuki. Final Fantasy XVI sales fell short of expectations. Initial momentum was in line with expectations, but the games failed to reach the first-year goal as its momentum slowed. No updates from sales numbers last announced at 3 million. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales fell short of expectations. Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales numbers to share. Foam Stars fell short of expectations. Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales number to share. Remains confident Final Fantasy XVI can achieve its goal over the original 18-month sales plan. Also, sales of Rebirth and Foam Stars aren't necessarily bad. Reorganized development team into 5 console teams, 1 smartphone game team. Has been relied too much on an individual's creativity. Will promote sharing game making how. Is that a typo or what? How among teams, and will seek best balance of individual creativity and organizational discipline. Dragon Quest XII remains under development. Investors react, sell shares heavily, stocks fell to the day's trading limit. Concerns our pipelines have become too empty. No big titles that can lift up the company's top line over the next couple of years. And going back to the recent news about Square Enix taking another financial hit and the massive decrease of their stock, we can see further speculation over on Reddit. For example, in a Reddit thread talking about the stock price plummeting, a top comment reads, "Whoever thought skipping Switch platform for Visions of Mana was a good idea needs to be fired right away, as it lost most of the potential sales." Another top comment saying, "Not surprised. There were like 4 to 5 Square Enix games that came out in the last 4-ish months that look good, but didn't seem to sell well by bestseller charts on Steam/PlayStation at the time I was looking at them. I'll probably pick up Emerald Saga and Visions of Mana, but no time soon personally. Looks good, but not full price good." A response to that reading, "The price is obnoxious indeed. I guess Square's strategy is to mimic Nintendo in a way. Their products are quote-unquote premium, but not really. Visions of Mana looks pretty good. $30 would be a nice price for it, but here we are, $60 plus DLC outfits from previous Mana games. Lol, as Peter Moore once said, there's no bad games, only bad price points." So in summary, we've seen Square engaging in DI practices and attempting to appeal to the so-called modern audience in various ways. This potentially resulting in their collaboration with Sweet Baby Inc., which net them shareholder backlash, and Sweet Baby Inc. style policy, so to speak, leading to boycotts against some of their games. All are things which would understandably have negative impacts on their bottom line. And on top of that, according to them, they overestimated the public interest that people would have in some of their games, such as what they said about Final Fantasy XVI sales falling short of expectations. Lastly, some people seem to suggest that Square is pricing some of their games too high, leading to lower sales, which are some of the most upvoted comments showing agreement to that sentiment. But let me know what you think about all of this stuff in the comments. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.